Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FULCRUM Metals PLC investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged. They can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab that's just situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please just simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so, and these will be available via your Investor Meet company dashboard. Before we begin, if I may, I would like to submit the following poll, and if you could give that your kind attention, I'm sure the company would be most grateful. And I'll now like to hand you over to CEO Ryan Mee. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for joining this morning to listen about FULCRUM Metals PLC. I am Ryan Mee. I'm the CEO of FULCRUM Metals. I actually co-founded the business. My background is an experienced, successful serial private investor in the natural resources space. I've been an entrepreneur in this space for a number of years. And from that, I've gained extensive and valuable knowledge of exploration companies, business, commercial acumen, raised private funds, managed investments, and gained a great deal of understanding on strategic and business planning. So, who are FULCRUM Metals? So FULCRUM are AIM-listed multi-commodity explorer. We're focused on Canada, which offers low sovereign risk and world-class geology and is ultimately investor-friendly. That's evidenced by the Fraser Institute. It's ranked second as the most attractive region in the world for mining investment. As part of the listing in February this year, we raised 3 million. We have a diverse, highly prospective portfolio of gold, base metals, and uranium projects. Our projects are positioned close to these mineral-rich prospective areas and near to producing or near producing assets. The market fundamentals for gold, base metals, and uranium is in a fantastic place. We're seeing governments buy gold at record levels not seen historically, and we're seeing the net zero ambition globally really underpin the base metals and uranium market. FULCRUM offers an investment opportunity in an extremely attractive region. We've got a very defined development strategy which offers near and long-term upside opportunity to investors. Our management team are highly experienced, and our strategy is of an opportunistic approach. So our portfolio of assets, we have 4 gold and base metal projects in Ontario covering around 250 square kilometres, and we've got 2 uranium projects in Saskatchewan. So that's in the northern Athabasca region covering around 136 square kilometres. Our flagship property is in Ontario. It's the Schreiber-Hemlo project. Covers a significant land package of around 113 square kilometres. And it actually consists of 2 properties. They both demonstrate high-grade gold at surface, priority magnetic targets. We've got important mapped shear zones which demonstrates potential for economic ore deposits. And importantly, it's not drilled, so we're going to get out there and test it. At Winston Lake, we adjoin the Winston Lake mine, which is reportedly the highest grade zinc mine in North America. The Wawa project, which is just 30 kilometres away from 2 million plus ounce gold deposits. We've got the Daya Hezra project, which adjoins the Tycho project, which is held by Palladium 1. In Saskatchewan, we've got the Charlotte Neely Lake project. We've got some high-grade uranium rock samples and some high-grade gold drill intersections of up to 1.4 ounces of gold. And the Fontaine Lake project, where we've got some very good uranium samples of up to 1.4%. And rather interestingly, some noted rare earth occurrences with niobium up to 0.7% and 0.1% tantalum. So essentially, we're going for discovery on our flagship Schreiber-Hemlo project, and the rest of the projects, we're going to be moving these along the development curve, looking for JV and other value-creating opportunities for shareholders to create value. So since listing, we've released a number of news items. Schreiber-Hemlo, we released the groundworks results of Big Bear from 2022. And we're seeing all the right things that we want to see to make that discovery in that area. We've got high-grade gold in rock samples. We've identified shear zones, which have been mapped, which have the potential for mineral discoveries. And what we've really realised is this has a potential to host a much larger mineralised system that's been previously recognised. We've also completed airborne magnetic surveys across some areas of the property. And we've also conducted a structural survey, which identified, which was very positive, it's identified 42 priority targets across the project area. What we're waiting for back is the final airborne survey results, which will be over the next few months. And we're looking to be drilling later on this year and getting ground crews out there by the end of this month to start that process. At Tashiri Lake, we've completed airborne magnetic surveys, covers 232 line kilometres. We're waiting on those results to come back to us. At Winston Lake, we've expanded the property area by an extra approximately 9 square kilometres. In this area, we've got previous reports of copper samples of up to 1.35%. Rather excitingly, we've got a copper in soil anomaly of around 2 square kilometres, with copper of up to 1100 ppm. And really importantly, this covers a contact zone which demonstrates similar alteration that you see at the Winston Lake mine. In Saskatchewan, for both properties, we've acquired hyperspectral data. Those results are extremely positive. It's identified several trends for uranium and rare earth elements. We're currently taking those results to supplement that historic information, which will help us refine exploration targets for later this year. So just focusing on Ontario, there's a map here just to demonstrate the neurology of these the projects that we have. So we've got our flagship Schreiber Hemlo project. That's just 60 kilometers west of regionally significant project held by Generation Mining, and just 80 kilometers west of the world famous Hemlo mine, which has produced 23 million ounces of gold. Just to the north of this project area, we have our Winston Lake project. As I said, that surrounds this historic Winston Lake mine, which is reportedly the highest zinc grade mine in North America. Over to the east, we've got the Tashiri Lake project. And then a bit further south, we've got the Dog Lake project, which is in this Wawa greenstone belt with fairly close proximity to two multi-million ounce gold deposits. Now, if we just zero in the Schreiber Hemlo project, it's an extremely well endowed greenstone belt. We've got 38 known mineral occurrences. It is a significant land package that we've assembled here of around 113 square kilometers. This whole area has a history of small-scale mining with no real property-wide focus on making those discoveries. So those small-scale mining operations have been focused at surface, chasing visible gold. So what we are doing is taking that step back, reviewing all the data, and with a view to make a discovery on this project. If we concentrate on the Big Bear area, this slide really demonstrates that small-scale mining. So we've got an abundance of high-grade gold at surface. We've got 4 target areas which I've highlighted here, which have exploration permits granted on them. So we can work on these projects as soon as we can. So at Little Bear Lake, we've got bulk sampling of 1 ton averaging quite impressive, over 1,400 grams a ton gold. In the Schreiber area, we've got multiple high-grade gold occurrences, 53.7 grams a ton gold, 105 grams a ton gold. And in Big Duck, where limited exploration has happened, but we do know there's high priority airborne magnetic targets. And again, that southeast corner, we've got Hayes Lake. This overlies this interpreted structure, which is the contact zone between the green and the red area. And we know that historically there's been some really, really high-grade gold in that area, up to 230 grams a ton gold. When we acquired this property, high-quality airborne survey covered the majority of this project. We recently completed an airborne survey, which will completely cover the whole property. So the next steps for this property is a second phase of groundworks, which will focus on sampling, mapping, and ultimately lead to the final location or identification of drill targets for later this year. And we'll also be progressing other targets to drill stage ready. This slide here is in reference to the news that we released a short while ago on the mapping and sampling program, which we undertaken in the Schreiber area. Now, this area is where we're targeting drilling, and again, we found an abundance of high-grade gold at surface. Best values were up to 45 grams a ton. What was really important for this program is we mapped the important shear zones, which has that potential to make economical discoveries. And another really important part of this work is the initial structure observations between some of these showings, such as Cook Lake, Pyramid, Schreiber, in addition to the historical work performed by Panther Metals with the soil sampling. We believe that we've identified a potential regional scale shear zone which passes through this entire area on a single mineralized system, and this offers a much larger prospect. We engaged Murphy Geological Services, which is an industry leader in satellite structural interpretation. From this study in the Big Bear area, it identified 24 priority targets. When we integrate these results into the data that we already have, we found very good correlation to the aeromagnetic data. Really importantly, it corroborated the work that we've done in Schreiber. This high priority target BB10 directly covers this area where we have an interpreted structure where we have high-grade gold in rock samples. At the Jackfish Lake project area, FULCRUM conducted field exploration over a 1 square kilometre area, which is that south central area. And what we found there is a large area which is very well mineralised throughout. High-grade gold rock samples of up to nearly 40 grams a tonne gold and 1% copper, along with some anomalous pathfinder minerals such as molybdenum, barium, and tellurium. They're all indicators that there's a source of gold there somewhere. The structural survey identified 18 priority exploration targets, which I'll go through on my next slide. Now, the next steps for this property is to follow up on those targets, and in particular, the eastern part of this property is pretty much unexplored. So that's a real blue sky opportunity for us as a company. So as you can see here, this is the structural study. And from this, it's identified a number of high priority targets on that eastern margin. So that's clearly a focus of the company going forward. What it has also done is corroborate the work that we've done in that JFL 17 high priority 1 target area, where we identified widespread mineralization with those high grade gold rock samples of up to 39.8 grams a tonne. So it's extremely positive for the company. For the other 3 projects that we have in Ontario, they all offer additional upside to the company. So the Winston Lake project, again, it surrounds this historic Winston Lake mine, which is highest grade zinc mine in North America. Got historical grub samples of over 1% copper, a soil anomaly of around 2 square kilometres, the peak value of 1100 ppm. There's a number of untested geophysical anomalies. So the next steps there is to get out there, do some groundworks to follow up on these historical showings. At the Wawa project, known as Dog Lake, the northern area of that project is prospective for gold, and the southern area is prospective for nickel and copper. So this year, the next steps are to get out there and move this project forward. The Daya Hezra project, the Tashiri Lake project, that's in a whole new emerging base metal district. The Tycho project is moving at a fast rate of knots, making discoveries of nickel sulfides. We're right in the thick of it as we join just to the east of that project. We're waiting for the airborne survey results to come back, and we'll follow that up with some groundworks, such as mapping and sampling. Now, if we focus on Saskatchewan, the nuclear market has been completely reinvigorated over the last 1 to 2 years, and that is as the world and world governments are moving towards this net zero carbon energy. Nuclear offers a sustainable, low carbon baseload of power. This has been recognised by a number of funds such as Sprott Asset Management, who launched a fund about 18 months ago where they're buying uranium out of the market, which restricts the supply. And the lack of uranium exploration and new mine development over the last 10 years or so has really added in that mix to really give the uranium market a real good sense of opportunity for the company. Now, the FULCRUM have 2 uranium projects in the North Athabasca region of Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is one of the world's leading sources of high-grade uranium and supplies around 20% of the world's uranium at the moment. Now, from this map, you can see it's a very active region. There's a number of significant companies that operate in this area, such as 92 Energy, Appear Energy, Power Metals, ALX Resources. And we also have Ather Energy. They recently listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange, raised a significant sum of money to go out to explore and develop projects. Now, if you focus on the Charlotte Neely Lake project, what we've got here is a number of uranium occurrences. We've got rock chip samples up to 6.2%, a number of grab samples around the 0.4%, 0.8% mark. But also, we've got this rather intriguing gold target. So we've been able to obtain some very old records, which highlighted a very, very interesting drill hole number 17. And from surface, this averaged just under 4 grams a ton over nearly 46 meters, with a peak intercept of 44 grams a ton over nearly a meter. Now, what FULCRUM have done is we've recently acquired hyperspectral data for this area. Again, those results were very positive, which identified several trends for uranium and rare earth elements. So we're just supplementing that to the historical results to refine exploration targets. We'll be out there later this year. For the Fontaine Lake project, Canalaska actually performed some work in this project area in 2008 as part of the last uranium cycle. And they identified a very prospective radiometric target in the East Adie Lake area. Associated with this radiometric target, we've got some very good uranium samples of up to 1.28%. And rather intriguingly, it's been noted rare earth occurrences of 0.7% niobium and 0.1% tantalum. Again, we've acquired the hyperspectral data for this area. We've got some very positive results from that, and we are just supplementing that with the historical results that we have. And that's going to be used to refine exploration targets, which we will get out there and look at this year. So, FULCRUM's strategy in simple terms, the funds were raised at the IPO. That's with a real primary focus on going to the flagship Tribe of Hemlo property to go out there and make a discovery. We know we've got all the right ingredients, it hasn't been drilled, and we're going out there to make a discovery. As our kind of second workflow, we're going to establish the prospectivity and commercialize the wider portfolio of assets that we have through securing potential JV and acquisition interest. So at Tribe of Hemlo, what we've done so far, we've completed structural surveys, we've completed airborne survey work, and we're about to commence the groundworks in Schreiber area. across the remainder of the portfolio. We've completed the historical data review. We've completed the hyperspectral data analysis. And we're just waiting for the results back on the airborne geophysical surveys at Tashiri in Ontario. And phase 2 work will build on those results. So what's the investment case for Fulcrum? Well, we've got a very highly prospective portfolio of gold, base metal, and uranium assets in a top mining jurisdiction, and they're all positioned nearby or close to mineral-rich prospective areas and producing or near producing assets. The portfolio affords us a multi-commodity upside with very strong market backdrop. We've got a very defined development strategy through seeking the discovery and commercializing our portfolio, which offers near and long-term upside opportunity to investors. Importantly, this makes sure that we have strong news flow. We've got a very experienced board and management team focused on delivering that growth and building that value through exploration, making discoveries, and scaling those opportunities. From a corporate structure point of view, we got 49.9 million shares in issue. The directors hold just over 30% of those shares in issue, which is very important to us because that ensures the directors are in full alignment with the shareholders so that we create value for the company, we create value for ourselves. And that's a very integral philosophy of the company. As I have a few more minutes, so I'm just going to run through who's on the board of the company. I've obviously introduced myself. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of the business. Aidan O'Hara also co-founded the business with me. He's the corporate development director. He's a hugely experienced investor and entrepreneur in the minerals sector. He's founded a number of companies, including a private mining company in West Africa, and got significant experience in business ownership and management. Our chairman, Clive Garston, he's got significant experience as corporate lawyer and board experience on small and medium quoted companies. John Hamilton, the CFO, has an extensive history of SME and international companies. Alan Mooney affords a vast experience of 20 years in natural resources with private and public listed companies. Mitchell Smith is a highly experienced board member. He's part of several public and private resource companies, Canada and the UK, and is a highly accomplished business individual. From a technical standpoint, we're backed up with huge experience and high quality skills. So Edward Slowey has got more than 40 years experience in mineral exploration, works in various parts of the world, Africa, Australia, Canada, and is hugely experienced in JV negotiation, exploration, planning, feasibility studies. And we have teamed up with Bayside Geoscience in Ontario. Stephen Flank is the president of Bayside. He's got over 10 years of experience. And we've worked a very good relationship over the last few years to enable us to perform these exploration activities in Ontario. And we also have Dr. Jim Franklin, a special advisor. Is hugely experienced and specialized geochemist in Canada. He's hugely revered. He was inducted into the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame, and all three of them are very, very valuable assets to the company. So thank you for listening, and I'll just hand you back to Jake now. Thank you.
Ryan, that's great. And thank you very much indeed for your presentation this morning. What I'll do, if I may, is just bring back up your camera. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions just by using the Q&A tab that's situated on the top right-hand corner of your screen. But just while the company take a few moments to review those questions that were submitted already, I would like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. Ryan, as you can see, we have received a number of questions questions throughout your presentation today. And thank you to all of those on the call for taking the time to submit their questions. Ryan, if we may just dive straight into these. The first question that we have here reads as follows. What are the main activities occurring over the next few months that investors should be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, we've released an RNS, so this is in public domain. We're going out to the Big Bear project area. We're going to conduct final geological mapping and sampling to finalise the drill locations and orientations for later this year. So that's very exciting for us as a company. We know we've got all the ingredients to make the discovery. So we want to get out there drilling as soon as we can, and that's what this phase 2 groundworks is designed to do. Following those groundworks, we will be going through the whole of the portfolio, conducting groundworks. So there's a lot of news flow to come, and as we move out across the portfolio, investors can expect news releases in due course as we do that.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Ryan. The next question that we have here reads, how happy are you with the progress the company has made since listing, and are things on schedule?
We're extremely pleased with the progress that we've made so far. The groundworks that we completed at Big Bear is a key milestone, really, in that project. We've identified regional scale shear zones, which has the potential to hold economic ore deposits. That's a very significant progress milestone for the company and for the project. We've also conducted structural surveys, hyperspectral data surveys, and these are all geared towards helping us with our groundworks in this summer's fieldwork program. So we are in exactly the right place that we wanted to be, and we're extremely pleased, and we're really excited.
Thank you very much for that. Perhaps just turning on to the next question that we have here, which asks, which of the projects currently underway offers the greatest commercial upside, and do you have sufficient funding in place to deliver on your operational plans?
Yes, so the IPO funding is enough to cover all of the programmed activities, which I've discussed as part of this presentation. So we absolutely are funded to do those exploration activities, and we're super excited about the Schreiber project. I think from a commercial aspect, you want to be out there drilling. That's how you make discoveries. So that's our first and foremost. But the rest of our portfolio really offers investors and the company an opportunity to realize value from those early stage exploration projects, and that would be, on the signing of a JV agreement or a disposal. That's really going to help limit dilution going forward, and that's a key part of our business model.
Thank you very much for that. And perhaps just turning on to the last question that we have here, which reads, first-class metals nearby are getting excited about lithium in the area. Are there any indications of lithium in the sites owned by Fulcrum?
Not currently. I mean, these projects, for example, the Big Bear property, that's primarily been explored for gold. We know that there's base metal potential on that property. No one's looked at lithium. If you're going to perform exploration activities on a property, you need to go out there focused on lithium. No one's done that across these properties. We don't intend to at the moment. I think that really you've got to focus on really where those properties are going. So currently, no, not lithium.
Thank you very much for that. And that actually concludes all the questions that we have that have come in this morning. So thank you very much to all of those on the call for taking the time for submitting their questions. And Ryan, thank you very much for those responses. And of course, if there are any further questions that do come through, and we'll make these available to you immediately after the presentation has ended, just for you to review, to then add any additional responses, of course, where it's appropriate to do so. And we'll publish all those responses out on the Investor Meet Company platform. But Ryan, perhaps before redirecting those on the call to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to yourself and the company, if I could please just ask you for a few closing comments to wrap up with, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So Fulcrum are positioned to go out and make discoveries and move the rest of the portfolio towards making those discoveries. We've got a very flexible portfolio. We've got multi-commodities. So what that really offers the company is flexibility in not just commodities, but also project area focuses. So, we've got gold, uranium, rare earth potential. I think that those basket of commodities, the basket of portfolio projects that we have, I think it's a very, very good base which offers a lot of upside. We only need to make one discovery here. Let's not forget that. And I think we're really well positioned to do that.
Perfect, Ryan. That's great. And thank you very much indeed for updating investors this morning. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the management team can better understand your views and expectations. This won't take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Fulcrum Metals PLC, we would like to thank you for attending today's presentation. That now concludes today's session, so good afternoon to you all.